welcome back to the
Back
in the Class podcast. Episode 2, Season 2. Okay, introductions, go.
Season 1.
Hey guys,
It's
I'm Shania Fay Gonzalez, but most people call me JJ, and I am the editor for the Back of the Class podcast.
And my name is Madiha, you better know me by now,
Chris, co-host.
Timothy, guest star.
from Turlock High School. Today's episode is going to be about promposals and American consumerism in the holidays. So we're going to discuss American consumerism on holidays and somehow connected to promposals.
Let's introduce Timothy a little bit more. So he was with us for the Ivy League project. Shout out to those who know.
Shout out to Marie and Martin Maris and Angelka and ourselves and the students. And the last extra day that we all spent there
In Boston.
in
The
Boston,
airport.
you
It
know.
was nice.
You know, what's that word thing they say? Like, if you know, you know? Yeah.
Like when I said it, for those who know. Moving on.
Violence isn't allowed on camera, guys. It's okay.
Oh my. We might have to cut that out.
Alright.
Okay, what do we know about promposals? Yeah, Chris knows a lot about it. Go ahead, Chris.
Why do you guys start off with me, bro?
Because you're co-host.
Alright. Promposals. Look, when you got a shawty you really like, male or female, or plus. You go up to
What?
or plus. You go up to him and you're like, "Shawty, like, what are you doing on this day?" And you're like, "Okay." Let's go to
Probably
prom."
the worst promposal idea ever.
Well, what if promposals have to be somewhat witty, right? Because you have to have like some kind of pun when you do the promposal, right?
Depends on the person you're proposing to or promposing to. I don't know if that makes sense.
I feel like the idea can be like really sweet too. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be funny.
I think so too. Right? I mean, okay. The thing is, the idea can be sweet, but if the execution isn't, then it's just a mess. I feel like. No, JJ?
Well, give us an example.
Like, let's say you were trying to do something, you know, you want to include a whole class with it and everything, but the person isn't even in the class, or the person isn't even, like, doesn't like it, or I don't know, something like, or they're shy. The perfect example is if they're shy, you just put them in the spotlight, or, you know, and it's just like, I don't know if they're going to like it all that much. You know, you can bring chocolates and flowers, and this is obviously a great idea, but it has to cater to the person a bit in a way, I think. So that's the most, that's the most thing example I can think of. But I know that a lot of people would love the, chocolate, flowers, you know, he did something,
I
but
feel like that's like really basic too, though, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, what if you go all out with all that and they say no?
and in
That's-
front of the whole class, that would be a little bit embarrassing.
Have you guys seen those people who do it during like rallies?
Oh my
Oh.
god.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
We actually have a rally upcoming next week at Pittman for what is it? Formal?
Hoops coming.
For Hoops coming. So I'm just saying, anyone who wants to do that, you could shoot your shot. Get it? Shoot your shot because it's Hoops coming. Haha, knee slapper.
It wasn't funny.
Oh
It's
my
just a knee
gosh.
slapper.
Okay.
Sorry.
But honestly, I kind of feel bad for people who do it during rallies or like not even just that, but like, have you guys seen those like TV series or like on news where they propose, not just like prom propose, but like ask for their hand in marriage
Oh,
in
yeah.
front of like a whole entire stadium of people?
And they say no.
Well, the thing is, like, if it were me in that situation, I wouldn't want to say no in front of all of those people.
Yeah, but at that
right?
But
point-
what if
pressure.
you don't want to get married?
Yeah,
Then
because
you're
like
just saying yes for no reason.
and then to
Right.
marriage, I mean that's a huge thing. You don't, and I feel like doing that is a form of pressure, even if that's not what the person is intending.
Exactly, yeah.
Because there's so many people watching. If you say no, it's gonna make like your partner look really bad, and I mean by extension, kind of you, because they're all gonna be like, "Oh, you ruined such a cute moment." They're not gonna think about, "Oh, maybe I know dynamics of relationship." So you know, with that, but yeah, that's definitely a form of pressure when it comes to it. No,
I have
can
a
we get in
question.
front of an audience?
I have a different question.
Yeah.
And it has to do with that. So what happens when you shoot your shot, right, and they say no? Do you become different friends after that? Do you guys not talk to each other? What happens then?
The easiest answer is it depends on the people.
It depends on the maturity levels.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So if
depend
the
on
person's like really mature, they're not going to like completely shut them out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but that's not a
I'm like,
reason
of course,
to shut someone
I'm
out.
like,
no?
I'd say it like this. I mean, because I've had my little rendezvous with girls, right? And
Okay.
I'm like, it hasn't always worked out.
Yeah.
So it's like some of them, like they're immature, and they take everything so personal and they blow things out of proportion. So then it just completely ruins the friendship,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But if you're both mature, right, after some time of giving it some space, letting things cool off, then you can go back and being good friends again,
Right, yeah.
Or maybe you'll just go being in friends just like in a different
It's a
life.
different relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like being
Yeah.
friends is a relationship, and being like romantic lovers or whatever is a relationship. You just have to kind of sometimes you vacillate between the two, sometimes not. And I feel like Timothy said, it honestly does depend on your mentality and the level that you're at. And if you think that, I don't know, I know there are people who are like, oh, you can't be friends with your ex, and that's a red flag or whatever. But I think it entirely depends on the dynamic of how the things ended and what happened. Sometimes you realize you're just not for each other. And if that's the case, then you can be friends still, or people, acquaintances at the least. But if it was actual red flags and toxic, then you might want to also steer clear of them.
Yeah, which makes sense. Maturity is like a big role that is a part of it, and I mean, even if you might have like a rocky relationship with your ex or like someone that you knew, it's just about being civil with them. Even though you may not agree about like some type of things,
Yeah.
the best course of action is just to be civil with them.
And you just gotta know when to and how to draw the boundary.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to go back to your toxic ex and just be like, well, I don't want to be mean. I know a lot of people are in situations where they're like, I don't want to be mean. So then you're just like constantly with the person, and that's not good for your own emotional health and mental health. But again, you got to know how to draw the boundaries, because that's the kind of resources you need in your life and people to support you through those tough times. But that also begs the question of like relationships nowadays, how young like they're popping up. Like I feel like I see kids in elementary school,
Middle school, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's I think it's insane. I don't know if you guys have seen anything
Yeah,
like that. though.
When I work at Walnut over here
Uh-huh.
for the after school program. There's these kids. They're like, oh, I like this one girl, and they're like, oh yeah, we're dating. I'm like, what? And then they're like, yeah, I like her. She likes me. We held hands one time, and I'm like, okay, bro. So,
Hey, that's deep.
but but on the note of promposals and and relationships and things like that, what would you guys say about someone that goes above and beyond all the time, but then a girl always gives them mixed signals. It's like you don't know if she likes you, you don't know if she doesn't like you, you don't know if she'll say yes or no, right? But she's not exactly pushing you off, but she also not exactly accepting you in,
Yeah.
and you want to go out and do above and beyond. What would you say about that?
I think that's a great question.
That is a really good question. You got something to say?
Well, what I'm thinking about it is when you do promposals, most of the time it's usually from friends to romantic lovers. People
Yeah.
want to go the next level, right? Me per se, I would just say that I would not want him to do that to me. If I was someone who was like unsure of that relationship, I would want there to be like a solidified relationship between us before
yeah.
you know what I'm saying, before they come up to me and say, would you like to go to prom with me as a romantic partner or like as someone walking down, right? But I know I'm not too sure what else to say about that, but that's personally me. I wouldn't want someone to say, hey, you want to go to prom with me if I'm still unsure of that relationship. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure for the man side how you would want to deal with that.
Okay,
How
so
about Chris? What would you think? What would you say if you were that guy who wants to go above and beyond?
but you don't know because it's like mixed signals.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
Shoot your shot, brother.
Be honest.
Just shoot it. Like Maria
Shoot
said,
your
shoot your shot.
I would send signals of my own, but not like specifically like love signals, but kind of like how are we as friends? Because I feel like you can go about you can go about it two ways. You can definitely ask them to be like, do you want to go to prom with me, but as friends, right? Which is like, okay, after the prom,
Oh, it's like
can we like
level one?
yeah,
Okay.
can we go? Do you want to go farther than that, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, you only get prom twice, right? You don't want to ruin it for the person. Specifically
Yeah.
if you're like, maybe they just want to hang out with their friends, right? And you don't want to have to worry about like, oh, am I dancing with a person enough, right?
Yeah.
Am I being sweet, right? So there's definitely different ways to go about it.
But that's a plus point that not many people think of, like being considerate to the other person. Because in that kind of situation, obviously person A is thinking about like, okay, what do I do? This, that, this. That person A is like either confused or they're also thinking about it. So as far as Timothy's question goes, if a dude likes someone and he doesn't know how the other girl feels, I think it entirely again depends on the kind of person she is in general. I have friends who are just very serious with things. They don't joke around all that much. You know, they're like either yes or no kind of person, and they're willing to, you know, do the ice breaking thing and then get there. But I also know girls who are just in generally very outgoing, very joking with people around them, and sometimes it is entirely possible for dudes to take that the wrong way. So it depends on the perception of you, how you're perceiving the girl, but also how is she with someone else? Is she exactly like that with other dudes, other people around her,
Right.
or is it
Yeah.
just you? Because you have to compare and contrast. And I know it sounds like a big deal, like have a checklist, you got to check 1, 2, 3, but if you're trying to go to prom with someone, that's a big deal to people, to, you know, foreign people at least, not, you know, to us, but like it's a big deal to you guys. So that's something you gotta like think thoroughly, just like how in marriage you want to think thoroughly before making that step.
Yeah.
The same thing goes here. And you know, we don't want to make it sound like a chore, but quite literally you have to think about it, otherwise the night's gonna go south, and you know, she's gonna end up crying, you're gonna be all pissed off and stressed or whatever. It's like, why do that to yourself if you can just be having fun? But I don't know, like going to prom with a certain someone is a very big like goal, like a high school goal for a lot of people. So I
And
guess
it's been like really romanticized by like TV series, like movies and stuff like that. Like this is our one big moment to like,
yeah,
shine.
yeah, and that brings us to the consumerism part of it too, because oh my god, do these stores and companies capitalize on all of this stuff. They will like dig in to
Yeah.
all of these things, like to people, to boys especially, like, hey, you know, the girls want this, like you don't want it, like, chocolate is this and flowers is this, or combine the two, a chocolate flower, whatever, you know. That, I mean, they go out insane, especially in February.
Well, I
Yeah.
think like along the lines of just like spending money. So like obviously like what a bouquet of flowers is like $40. Or,
Really?
like,
40?
Expensive.
Yeah.
That's
I thought it was
crazy.
like $20 max.
Well, I mean, like, and then plus chocolate, right? Plus a card, plus, you know, what if you want to do like signs, right? Then you have to decorate the signs.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm traditional. My family's kind of was like, if you're gonna take a girl, then you have to buy her prom ticket, right? So that's what,
Okay.
It's
Like
like
300
$120.
it's like 180, right?
Yeah,
on
for
top
us
of
it's like 200 almost. Yeah.
on top of your suit, right? On top of like other stuff, then you have to take them out to dinner, right? So it's like
Yeah.
a lot of money at the
And
end.
the
And
corsage thing.
you do all of this, right? You know, at the end of the day, maybe she just doesn't like you that way. You know what I mean? So you just
Yeah.
went through like
All of that for nothing.
basically,
Right.
right?
That's another aspect of it that I guess a lot of girls don't think about. You know, girls goes, okay, so I know people who are like, well, guys don't think about this and guys don't think about this aspect, but in the same exact equal level, there's a lot of things that girls don't think about either, you know? I mean, in this day and age, I don't mean to get controversial, but there's a lot of talk about feminism and, you know, we want to pay 50-50, do this, do that. But then when it comes to dating and whatever, like, is it still 50-50? Because how is the dude going to feel if he's going to share that meal check at the end and be like, okay, so 50-50? Or like, you know, that's just such an awkward space to be in. But at the same time, there's so much talk about, like, the, you know, new established feminism rules and grounds and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that both parties have to really, really think about is what.
And on the topic of, you know, going to prom, right? Let's say you don't go to prom together, you know, with a girl, right? But then you end up dancing together, right? In a slow dance. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does that mean?
How much does that mean?
Yeah, like
she's slow dancing with you.
Yeah, that's slow dancing, not just the crazy party dance in the middle.
That's very sensual, I would say. And you're saying we're not at prom?
yeah, no, like you didn't go to prom together, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But you ended up dancing at prom together.
I would still call that a win. That would
You would
probably
call that
still
a
be
win?
That's
yeah,
a win because when you go together, you still end up dancing together. So it's like, end goal, you got the girl dancing with you, and you didn't have to pay for a ticket at least. I'm just kidding. But hey, I think I think that might actually be harder to do. It should count for even more
Yeah.
since something had to have happened for her to want to ditch her friends and dance with you. Cause if she's
Whoa.
coming with another man and now she ditched him for you, speaks volumes
Is that-
about her.
I don't
No,
think
is
that
that cheating?
happened.
Is that-
Yeah,
Is
Is that true? Exactly. You're dancing with another man. Hello. So she
Like
ditched
that
her.
song by Bruno Mars.
If she ditched her friends for you, Tim, that's a win plus, and then some.
I almost feel like it's easier that way.
But what if
Really?
she just does it out of pity? You know, she's like, oh, I just don't want
Okay.
to say
I
no.
That's
know you-
that's
you
worst
feel
case
that.
scenario.
That's
How
worse.
How obvious does she make it that she's doing out of pity? She just kind of like.
No, I mean like it's like okay. Well, of course, it's a personal story. Everybody knows it now. So
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I was at formal, right? This girl, we didn't go to formal together because she wanted
Yeah.
to go alone, right? So then I was at formal, and the song by Bruno Mars, "When I Was Your Man," started playing.
Oh, it's
Okay.
Right? And I'm
Who's
like,
your
is this a
man?
slow song? And then she's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, you want to dance? She's like, sure. Right? So then we dance, like we're dancing. It's like probably like a 5-minute song, right? So we're dancing, she's laughing, she's singing, and we're having a good time,
Yeah.
right? And then after it's over, like she steps on my feet a couple times, and I'm like, oh, these size 13s get the best of me, and all this other stuff, right? And it was just like a good dance, right? And then afterwards, she goes on with the rest of her friends, for the rest of the night, we're hanging out. So my question would be, is it that it meant something, right? Or is it that she was just doing it because she was being nice,
Or in that
right?
moment.
In
Okay.
the moment,
Let's do like a guy's perspective
Okay.
versus a girl.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah,
As
let's
a
do that.
guy, damn me up.
Taking the win.
All
Hey,
right.
that's- it doesn't get any better than that. Honestly,
He could.
Yeah,
um,
honestly.
She could have kept dancing with you the rest of the night. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, she kind of did, but
look, either your dance moves were really bad.
Oh, wow.
I mean, clearly hers were. She stepped on your toes
did
a
you
couple times.
did you end up calling her later that night or
later that
like,
night, no, I just went home.
I mean,
You didn't like-
was there any context between you two?
Well, I mean, like we have class together and everything. We see each other all the time.
Uh-huh.
But the crazy thing is, though, on Monday when we come to school, right?
Yeah.
She's all quiet, distant, right? So I mean, like then at the end of the day, it's like, and me, like I'm an overthinker, hopeless romantic, and all. So it could have meant the world to me and nothing to her,
Mm.
and she could have done it out of pity. So I mean, like when it comes to those kinds of things, and like then you just have to ask yourself, what really did happen?
Right.
Are you guys? Are you done with the guy's perspective, Chris?
She's itching to talk about it.
I got two more things.
Okay.
I think that's really messed up.
What's messed up?
That like you didn't like talk to her about it maybe?
Oh,
As a guy, I would have been like,
jumping on that opportunity.
What are
yeah, I
we?
definitely would have like called her or like
What are
hey,
we
do you want to hang out like later tonight or like you want to grab something on our way home, right?
Okay, here's a little plot twist.
Oh,
Ooh, I'm ready.
Oh.
So I kind of like went after this girl, right? Before
Uh-huh.
formal,
oh.
right?
Ah.
But we did. It was never really like an established kind of like I was pursuing, her,
Uh-huh.
right? It was more so like we got close. We started
Yeah.
talking,
A talking
Right.
stage.
and then and then she pushed me away,
Uh-huh.
Ah.
and then like that's why I said the thing about mixed signals, because she would push me away, and then she'd come back, and then she'd push me, so it'd be
Yeah.
like
Right.
it would be very weird, like a cat and mouse kind of game,
Oh, I see. I see.
you know. So then when I was like, you know what, maybe it's my time to shoot my shot, right? So then I danced with her,
Uh-huh.
So then, it just adds to me wondering, what does it really mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Final thing I'm gonna say is like if she was giving me mixed signals before, you shouldn't have dove in. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
same girl who was giving you mixed signals before formal, and then at formal you guys started dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing is
That's a whole
we're,
layer of an onion.
we're giving you dating advice.
I know.
Okay,
Apparently so.
okay, done.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Medea.
As far as the girl's perspective, hold on, I had something to say earlier, and it is escaping me right now. JJ, just go talk.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, now hearing the context between you and her, I'm not too sure if maybe it meant something to her. Because, I mean, if you're getting mixed signals from this girl where you're on and off, like you said, cat and mouse, there's a possibility that maybe she is finding interest in other guys. And she's just like vacillating between the two of you. She's like, oh, here and then there and there. So, I mean, do you know how maybe this person treats other guys? Is it the same way that she treats you? Is she also quiet or
No. Well, with her, it's very. She treats me, different than she does treat other guys,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Because
okay.
I know her better than most other guys, right? With other guys, she is a little more superficial, a little more, nice and smiley, right? With me, she's more genuine and, honest, right?
Aw,
And it's
okay.
not just, yeah. So with her, because we've known each other for almost 2 years now.
Oh, okay.
Well, I feel like at that point it's like if you're spending that much time with her, where you know that she's treating other guys differently,
Then
and you guys still aren't a thing, then it's like, then maybe you guys are just friends. You know what I mean?
Or maybe the right things haven't been said yet between them.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I thought of when he said that, she danced and then she just went away with the girls or whatever, I thought of, what if this was one of my friends and this happened with them at a dance? Obviously, they would talk to me. They would come and tell me everything and all of it, and then we would be like a discussion. Okay, like, let's put our heads together. A, B, C, D, E, what does it mean? I'm assuming something like that, like something similar happened with the girl. What the result was obviously clear, not that much interaction anymore, whatever. It possibly could be something that, like, she just wasn't sure. I literally know people who are just, like, not sure about, this random guy they know at church, or this random guy they met online, whatever. Like, they just don't know, they're not sure about it. They're like, maybe, like, I can maybe give it a try. I'm like, so that could be the case where, like, they don't know, and then they dance with you, and then, like, you know what? I had this experience of dancing with you, especially to a slow song, and maybe they were like, you know what? I don't like it all that much. Like, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that spark that a person would normally feel to dance with someone or to continue the relationship afterwards or something. Perhaps it was something like that. But is she like, very talkative, very quiet, in the middle, like, in general, just...
In general, she's more reclusive.
Oh, I see. Introverted,
Yeah.
but you would say that she's genuine towards you specifically?
Yes, for the most part.
Introverted people, the thing with them is, okay, I act like I know, like, oh, I'm so introverted, but no, I'm just saying, like, I think an introverted person, they would, obviously, they're gonna have a hard time kind of, what's the word, like, vocalizing their emotions is the thing. Like, that, they would have a hard time doing that. Maybe they can't find the right word. So it's really hard for them to vocalize their emotions, and it could be something like that. And like I said, I don't know the girl personally, because it's a whole different thing when you actually sit and talk with the person, you walk with them, you interact with them socially, versus hearing about what they're like. So it's really hard to say. Yeah,
So, okay, so going back to what I was saying, like, based on the context that you've given us and everything, she's an introverted girl, she doesn't talk like the way she talks to you, then it's most likely that she's unsure about her feelings. Like, from my perspective as someone who is an introvert, I don't open up easily to other people. When I am unsure of things, I personally avoid them. And so maybe that's what happened to you that night, right? So she danced with you, she had these feelings, she's unsure of them, and so she became a little bit distant to, like, clear her head and to, like, figure out, what does this experience truly mean to me? And so at that point, the best way to combat that would probably be communication, talking to her, like, calling her, like, talking to her in person, saying, like, hey man, like, what's going on between us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's just, for me personally as an introvert, that's what I would want. Someone to talk. Conversation is the number one thing if you want
Not
to talk.
too direct either, you think?
Not too direct. Yeah, not in her face, because at that point she's gonna recluse
But
herself
at the
even
same
more.
time, it's a little complicated, but at the same time, not also super just vague and, like, little hints only, but I agree with you when it comes to, like, okay, something happened, now you want to take the time to think about it a bit, to see if you're, like,
If you actually like him.
if you actually like him.
Right.
And that also depends on, now it's up to you, basically. Do you like the girl enough to keep pursuing, or you like, okay, next one, or I don't know.
Hear about this. What if it's like this? What if you like the girl enough to pursue her, but you value the friendship too much to risk
That is such a hard thing.
That's, like, almost paradoxical.
it?
It's like a one-sided thing, and and that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. Do you have a take on it?
This is gonna sound really bad.
Okay, go for
You
it.
just gotta go for it. If you ruin the friendship, like, you got your bros for you. You know what I mean? You got the gym. You got hobbies.
Yeah.
If you really like her that much, where it's to the point, like, where, like, you can't stop thinking about her, or, like, you're just constantly, like, because I feel like sometimes even, like, myself, not that I'm like that.
Yeah.
Clarification.
Clarification.
No, like-
Disclaimer. Chris isn't like that, guys.
When you're like, Okay, I'm just gonna be real. Like when you're doing physics homework and you get stopped mid equation,
Wow.
and you're like,
It's
Wow.
very specific to his thing,
Yeah,
but
so
okay.
disclaimer: this isn't about him, guys.
But it is about a certain nerd who does physics.
no. Well, look, what I'm saying is like if you get caught up thinking about her like constantly, where it's like when are you not thinking about her, then you can't just settle for a
Yeah.
friendship.
Right.
And honestly, I would rather feel heartbreak and like pain,
Yeah.
than like be stuck in the middle for like a
Mhm.
year or years. You know what I mean?
But at least you get an answer that way.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
you don't want to live with the regret of what if
Mm.
I had asked her.
Yeah.
Like I saw this movie. It was not about relationships, but it was about like a little bit about the regret of it, of like not doing something that you really want to do, and like looking back at it when you're 80 years old in a diaper on a bed or something, and you're thinking back like, what if I had done this one thing and your whole life would have been different?
Mhm.
Because honestly, like we think it's small decisions, but these really small decisions. Saw a quote that says like you're one decision away from like a complete different life. So I think that kind of applies in this case too.
That
So,
that kind of reminds
Can't believe,
me,
but I agree with Chris.
kind of reminds me of, I'm not too sure if you guys seen those like TikTok or Instagram reels where what's one thing that you regret the most? And
Mm.
most of the people that respond to that are like with loved ones.
Oh,
Like,
the experiments.
Yeah, the
They leave a
experiments.
bowl with a
Yeah,
Oh, I've seen some
yeah.
of them. Yeah.
so I mean, like Medea is saying, like, I mean, you live only once, right? Like, just go ahead, go for it.
Now, when
No?
you say go ahead, go for it. Now, what would you?
Okay, all right.
Okay, so let's say there's a young man, dashingly handsome, right? 5'9",
wow.
size 13, dance with a girl at formal. Right?
Is this
So-
anybody we know? Is this someone we know?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
You know, you've probably seen him once or twice. But let's say this guy doesn't know social cues all too well. How to exactly establish a conversation
Yeah.
to beat around the bush but still get to the point.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to read the room.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
Because sometimes, you know, this guy walks into the room when it's like, you know, 80 degrees in there with a puffer jacket.
Or with
No?
a trench coat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Inside
The
joke.
trench coat. Yeah, that's a good one. But you know, like, what would your steps be? Like, Chris, if you were this guy, right, 5'9", dashingly handsome,
Okay.
right? If you were this guy and you really wanted to talk to this girl, you're like, go for it, right? But you don't know anything. You know, well, probably you know something about social cues. What would be your first step when you go into that conversation? And it has to be an elevator pitch because you don't have too much time.
An elevator pitch. I feel
We
like
know a
you
little
can't.
bit about
I
that.
feel like you can't rush. You can't rush. You know, something like that.
So what would you say? Hey, let's go out for pie or something like that. Let's sit
No,
down
that's
and
like
talk.
that's like.
Right.
So you've known her?
I've known her. Yeah.
I feel like that's really forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I
one
have the
time-
perfect
Word.
solution for this. You make it a friend thing, make it a group thing, but then you try to find a way to isolate yourself together by just design.
See,
I'm just
she
saying.
knows from experience.
Alright.
So
I
what?
like
Like
it.
plan something together and make sure your friend dips,
Literally,
or
the
what?
best thing to do in this case would be to collect a group of friends, preferably the ones that know you and her and kind of know the situation, and literally get them in on it. Go together for
Yeah.
like
Like
ice
a
cream.
sting
or for-
operation.
Yes,
literally,
exactly.
and then
Nice.
try to find a way to
Okay.
isolate the two together somehow, but not make it obvious. Where you're like, okay, guys, let's go. You guys stay though. You stay, and then you guys leave. Don't do that because that's obvious and very awkward and
Yeah.
cringy. So make it like a little subtle. Yeah, make it just like, okay, I'm gonna go look at this section, kind of one by one,
Mhm.
kind of
Slowly
leave the
leave.
scene,
Yeah.
and then kind of let it happen. And I don't know. I guess be good at conversing. And I know you're already good at conversing, so it's not like you're gonna have trouble with nice shoes. No, you're not. It's not gonna be anything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, just you gotta know how to do it. And yeah, I guess the difficult part is gonna be like, how do you approach the girl?
Yeah, true. But I mean, if you're gonna end up doing that sting operation, you want to also make sure that, like, hey, this was fun. You want to maybe do this again? together
Yeah.
sometime?
Yeah.
Just the two of us, not
Yeah.
with the group and
The
everything.
best advice that I can think of would be to go into it thinking that you guys are friends already and that you guys are good friends. So then if you think that way, you won't feel awkward like asking for another hangout right after. But it would be just kind of natural to you, like, oh my god, this was actually so fun. Ha ha ha, let's do it again sometime. You know?
Okay.
Not like so next Saturday, same time. Nothing like that. That's cringy. That's a little. Don't do that.
Mhm.
More
That's
like
a
this
ballpark.
was like actually fun. Like I really liked it, and then kind of I don't know, beat around the bush. Like oh my god, and when we did that, ha ha ha, so funny,
Mhm.
And then beat her, and then bring up to the conclusion of we should totally do this again.
Mm.
And then throughout the time, like the next week or so, kind of bring up the conversation again. Be like, remember when we did that? Oh my God, that was so funny. Like, keep it fresh in their mind,
Yeah.
so they will keep on thinking about the same event. Otherwise, they'll just forget, and you're in your head like, oh my God, that was fun. So we do it again, and they've already forgotten what happened.
Yeah.
So kind of keep it fresh in their mind, and again, make sure you know them and you talk with them often. If you only see each other once a day, that's not good.
Medina, the dating coach over here.
Yeah,
Oh
It's
my
not a dating
Yeah,
coach.
like, really good
gosh.
advice.
It is pretty good advice.
I honestly
Right,
think of
right.
it just as like friendship style, but you're trying to make them your best friend instead. I think of it that way because I have zero experience and will always have zero experience with all this stuff because, again, religiously I can't date or do anything like that. I can't even touch them. So I think of it as friendship, honestly, and
Mhm.
that's how I give my advice. If you need my advice, I'll put my number in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe. And you
50
can
per session though.
50 per session,
Hey,
50
comment.
USD.
Comment in the YouTube, the comment box.
Comment below what your questions are about dating advice.
Like and subscribe.
I already said that.
Share.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
Share.
subscribe.
All right. Well, that was a whole episode of dating advice and other fun stuff featuring our very special guest, Timothy Flukas from Turlock High School. Thank you for being here, Timothy. Anyway, we're going to bring this episode to a close. If you have any questions, drop it down below. This is weird. We've never done this little drop it down below thing. Okay, well, that was it. That was the Back in the Class podcast. See you guys next time.
Catch you guys soon.
Peace. Peace. World peace.
Yes, I am very. I'm the editor for Back in the Class podcast. I am the secretary for HOSA Club, secretary for PASS
Stop.
Club.
This is not your resume, babes. We're going to move on.
Okay.
What happened
My-
to that